Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Mike Kollin at crackedfemalcode.com. With power comes great responsibility. Some of my clients are actually afraid of their own power. I would say most of you. A lot of clients are actually, what's the right word? Scared. That sounds improper English, but they're actually scared away from my course because the course opens you up to access your power. There is something that has been going on for centuries, and I mean centuries and centuries and centuries, to purposely disconnect you from your power. And now with technology, they have the ability to disconnect men from their power on a massive level, worldwide. And here's the thing, guys, women can see it because women are connected to their power. There's something that they were innately born doing that you were supposed to learn how to and develop. Believe it or not, but it's what the caveman did naturally. He had to for survival. And I'll explain all of this in the course. It's also in my book, Cracked Female Code, at crackedfemalcode.com. The modern male, because of technology, because of the brainwashing that's been done, whether it's through Hollywood movies, whether it's through commercials, whether it's through whatever, they are so terrified of tapping into and opening up to their own power, they just won't do it. Instead, what they do is they revert to acting. They revert to being fake. They revert to hiding in their intellect or in their logical brain. Your logical brain is disconnected from your actual power. For some of you, the reason why, or I should say a lot of you, are attracted to Andrew Tate, and there's another guy, can't think of his name right now. He's a white guy, he's rich, can't think of his name. The reason why you're attracted to these people is because they're talking about power, but no one's actually teaching you how to open up to your power. They're just telling you, do this, make money, get rich, get that. But they're not telling you how to access the power to be able to do that. This is why a lot of you will go to motivational seminars, personal development trainings, and all these other courses and read 100 books on anything from psychology to personal development to success to Think and Grow Rich and on, and you can't seem to get anywhere. Instead, what you do is you battle each other, you fight each other, and you exhaust each other, and you get absolutely nowhere. Now, some of you will become very, very wealthy. I've had clients, I had one client that was worth $300 million. He read my book, Cracked Female Code, in about 5 or 6 days. He called me up at about 10 o'clock at night, my time. He was in the Midwest, and he was like, "What is this?" He goes, "I've never heard anything like this." Now, he had done all the Tony Robbins relationship seminars and the Dr. John Gray and all the other, even the Dr. Barbara DeAngelis, and he hired a couple local relationship coaches, right? And yet he still went through divorces, lost millions and millions of dollars. Now, this guy was worth $300 million. He told me, he goes, "When's your next opening?" He goes, "I want to see you immediately." And I said, "Well, it depends on where you live. If you live in the Bay Area, I could see you tomorrow." He goes, "Well, no, I live in Kansas." I'm like, "Okay." And he goes, "Do you have an opening tomorrow?" It's like, "Well, yeah, but don't you want to?" Now, this is before I realized how rich he was. I said, "Well, if you want, we can schedule out about 2 weeks so you can save on airfare." He goes, "No, I own my own plane." He goes, "I'll fly out tomorrow." And I'm thinking, "Oh, this guy's full of shit." That's literally what I thought. He said, "I'll see you at 10 o'clock in the morning." Well, 10 o'clock rolls by, and I thought, I knew it, this guy's full of shit. And boom, 10:05, knock, 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 right on my door. And that was him. Now, there's one thing that I'm very, very, very good at, okay? And this has to do with my background, my training, and 3 decades of professional experience doing this. Now, the NLP trainings that I attended for 12 years, the number one goal and purpose and intention is to get you to understand the material so you can go out and do it and use it effectively to get results. That's my number one thing, okay? I have a ton of tools to help your brain to open up and access this area, okay? So we're going to take you through a series of techniques to help you to open up to you, because this is where your power is. Your power is not out there. Your power is inside of you. And here's the thing though, the male brain is the external brain. So your natural inclination is to go external. So here's what happens. You hear people talking about external shit, and they get you all excited about external shit, and you get happy about external shit. And after a year or two of following this guru, this person who probably even means well, they have no idea how to teach this to you, and they have no idea that they're doing it or they're not doing it. In fact, they probably aren't doing it. They're probably being external, and they just had better circumstances than you, etc., and they succeeded. There's another way of succeeding, especially when it comes to women. And that is my specialty. Now, this is not a pickup artist course. This is not one of those dating relationship coaching courses. This is not what Tony Robbins teaches. This is nothing. Every single client who's came to me, including someone who had their doctorate degree from Harvard and was a marriage family counselor, he said, "Where did you learn this stuff?" And I said, "Yeah, now you're realizing everything that you've been teaching our clients doesn't work. And now you know why." And he looked at me and said, "Yeah," he goes, "I get it now." There's something that I'm teaching in my course that you will never see, hear, or feel, or get from anyone else on the planet. The guy that flew in on his plane, his own plane, all right? He looked at me after the third day of training. He goes, "Holy shit." He goes, "No wonder why I kept getting divorced." I'm like, yeah, you could literally have all the money in the world and women are going to get fucking pissed off because there's one thing that they absolutely have to have in a relationship. It is the whole reason why she married you. And she'll wait. She'll make love to you. She'll cook. She'll clean. She'll do everything in the beginning of the marriage, the beginning of the relationship. She'll wait. She'll wait patiently a day, a week, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year. And about the year point, she's kind of getting pissed off. And you're looking at her like, "Well, what's wrong? I just bought you a car." And then you're like, okay, so you start to work overtime. You got to buy her a bigger diamond ring. And I actually saw one of my uncles do this. He bought her, at the time, it was the GT 5.0 convertible, which was like the car to get. Like everybody had to have that car. He literally started working overtime. He had his own business, and he bought her that. And then he bought her a bigger home. And then he bought her a third bigger home. And then he bought her a bigger diamond ring. And this guy was working to the bone. And you could see this lost, perplexed, confused, exhausted look on his face, like, "I'm doing everything in my power to make you happy." Rule number 1. If you're working hard to make a woman happy, guarantee you she will be the most miserable woman on the planet. Hands down, no questions asked. If a woman is working hard to make you happy, I guarantee you this right now, she will be the happiest woman on the planet. And there's something she literally physically needs from you. Like I said, she'll wait a long, long time, maybe even 2, 3, 4 years. And if she doesn't get it, I guarantee you, she will make it her mission in life to make you the most miserable man on the planet. She will destroy you. And you're thinking, "But I didn't do anything wrong." And I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. But there is something that you're completely blind and oblivious to. And this is what she wants from you. And nobody's teaching this to you. Nobody's talking about this. Because nobody's aware of what this is, or, here's the key word, how to do it. But first, you need to know what this is. Now, right now, I bet you're going, "What the hell is this guy talking about?" And this is what a woman hears from you. This is what a woman experiences from you. She's looking at you like, "I've screamed it at you. I've yelled it at you. I've smacked you upside the head." She's taking you to movies saying, "Okay, watch this movie." And you're thinking, okay, cool. And you hated the movie. Like, God, one of them was this romantic movie back in the 90s. I can't think of the name. It's like The Book or The Letter Book. I can't remember the name right now. I remember. It's called The Notebook, okay? So my girlfriend took me to this movie. And a couple months later, we rented it. And then a month or two later, we rented it again. Believe it or not, but this is how women communicate. They have you watch something and they want you to figure something out. Now, they don't tell you what this something is. They don't directly tell you, because here's why. The male brain is the direct brain. The problem is the direct brain turns off the female brain sexually. It kills romance. The indirect way is by doing it through symbology, okay? This is just one idea of what I'm talking about. Now, okay, I'm going to say something right now. And a lot of you guys, I know you don't believe me until you take the course. You're like, holy shit, yeah. Women literally are speaking in a coded language. That's why I call it crack the female code. There's a series of patterns and codes, and on top of it, there's a separate language that women speak. Guys, I am telling you, it is as different as from Chinese to Russian to whatever, to English, to Spanish, to German. It's a different language. You're thinking, what are you talking about? I talk to women all the time, but you don't understand them. Admit it, you don't. How many times have you screamed out to the gods, why are women so hard to understand? Or women, or women are just dumb. Women are confusing. Like, how many times have you said that? Because you don't speak their language. All right, here's something that got started in the late 60s or early 70s. You know, it's the big, I call it the hippie movement, right? And women were, and women still say this, but men are just like, whatever. So back in the 70s movement, women were saying, and they still say it, is, you know, I'm looking for a man who can express himself emotionally. Well, what does the direct male brain think? Oh, she wants me to cry. No. So here's what happened in the early 70s. All these grown men were crying at the movies and crying at songs. And you could see the women's look like, oh my God, I'm dealing with a little baby. And about 20 years ago, I'd work with these men when they were in their 50s. Okay, these are the men that grew up in the 70s or were like teenagers and 20s and the 70s that were pulling this bullshit, right? Because they're thinking, well, if I cry, I'll get laid. And here they are, desperate and single and lonely and divorced, and the woman took their house as usual, thinking, well, I did all that stuff. Like, no, that's not what she meant. She doesn't want another baby. She doesn't want another child to have to take care of. That's another fucking job. What she literally saying, if I could translate it in the male language just without explaining it, she's looking for a man who knows how to communicate in a way that she can understand where you're at in the moment emotionally. Are you pissed? Are you angry? Are you happy? Are you glad? And you're thinking, what are you talking about, Mike? Guys, I'm telling you right now, when you walk in the door, when you come home from work, she has no idea if you're pissed. She doesn't know if you're happy. She doesn't know if you're crappy. She has no fucking clue because she can't understand your language. And you're like, but Mike, and when I came home, she said, how was your day? And I told her it was fine. I told her I had a good day. She can't understand that. And you're thinking, wait, what are you talking about? Why can't she understand that? Because the way the female brain processes communication is not in the direct way. You just said something directly. In order for her to understand you, you have to communicate in the right brain's language because she can understand that language. You also have to express it in a way that her right brain's processor understands it, which means you have to do it in a series of hidden patterns. If you don't do this, she's going to be like, well, are you going to tell me how your day was? And you're like, I just told you. What's the problem? And she's like, well, why won't you tell me? You're like, I told you I had a good day. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was okay. It was a pretty good day. Tommy laughed and, you know, everything went fine. The boss didn't get mad today. Like, what do you want? The details? Yes, that's how the right brain understands. So I'm going to give to you what women want from you. Number one, they want to understand you. They can't. I'm telling you. I can't tell you how many wives who've told me, and even their husbands, like, you know, my wife used to say that to me all the time before she divorced me. And here's what it was. They would say, I feel like I'm living with a total stranger who I can't understand. It's like he's speaking a foreign language. He is. So what do women really want from you? Just clarity and communication? No, and yes. That's a piece of it. Now here's the deal. When you learn how to open up to your right brain, this is the emotional 5 senses processor. When you learn how to process in the right brain way, when you learn how to speak the internal language, here's what happens. Click. You started a process inside her physical body neurologically that turns her on sexually. But what happens when you go to these romance or these dating relationship seminars from Dr. Barbara DeAngelis and all the greats? They tell you a bunch of fucking rules, which kills and destroys your relationship, and I guarantee you will end you up in divorce in 2 years or less. Because rules, structure, and organization are the left brain. That's the logical left brain. The right brain is the relationship brain. It's the emotional brain. It's the sensual brain. It's the make love brain. It's the brain that gives her the number one thing that I've been hinting about through the whole video. Ready? Emotional fulfillment. The left brain is the logical brain. It's about math, business, science, rules, structure, organization. So you go to these seminars that say, hey, here's how you're supposed to have a marriage. Here's the rules. What happens is it pushes her into her left brain, which disconnects her from her heart, which disconnects her from her emotions, her feelings. This is a woman's absolute worst nightmare. When you pull a woman out of her right brain, which allows her to feel what's called emotionally grounded, it means she's connected to herself. It helps her to feel calm and relaxed and down to earth, and she can feel comfortable around you when she's like this. The problem is the left male brain is the disconnected, dissociated brain. And men come home in this very logical, hey, had a great day. And he's up in his head and she's going, oh my God, I have to deal with this again. Every fucking day. Every day you come home and you're up in your head day and night, morning, breakfast, lunch and dinner, vacations every day. And you make her go up in her head. How many times have you heard a woman say, oh God, every time I talk to her, I get stuck in my head. Women don't want to be stuck in their head because it doesn't feel good. Now here's what you did on accident. You disconnected her from her mating system and you can't figure out why she doesn't want to have sex with you. Because you neurologically disconnected her from her mating system. Her mating system's in her right brain, not her left brain. And when you come home in your left brain, guess what? After 5, 10, 15 minutes being around you, she pops out of her right brain and goes over into her logical brain. And now she's disconnected, angry, pissed off, and fucking mad. And then you go, what did I do? I didn't understand. And here's the thing, sincerely and respectfully to you, you don't understand. And it's not necessarily this bad, horrible thing, but the physical, emotional effects it has on her brain, her neurology, and her body are horrendous. I mean, it's like having a turtle in a fish tank, a big fish. Even if you buy him a 100-gallon fish tank, you think, well, that's plenty of room. But he can't get up and out, and you don't have one of those sun lamps, so his freaking shell gets softer and softer until it starts to rot away. And you're thinking you're doing a good thing, but you're not. You're causing tremendous pain. And men are like, why are women so mad all the time? I wonder why. And right now, as you're listening to me, you're like, what are you talking about? Because it's something you can't understand until you physically experience it. Sure, you've heard the word and phrase emotionally grounded and being stuck up in my head. Now I've got a headache. Men literally, physically, neurologically give women headaches. And men are like, what do you mean you got a headache? I just took you out to dinner. I just spent $120 on dinner at a nice restaurant. Like, now you want to go home? And you're thinking, God, what a bitch. And like, no, dude, you physically gave her a headache. Now, right now, I'm not going to try to explain it in this video because it would take way too long. When you take the course and physically understand what being emotionally grounded is, you're like, holy shit, this is great. Like, yeah, it is, huh? And then you'll start feeling the pain you have in the back of your eyes and in your forehead. You'll be like, holy shit. Like, yeah, you've been walking around feeling like this your whole life, not even realizing that you are. So there's this technique that I do to help men to reconnect with themselves. In the beginning, they'll be like, holy shit. I'm like, what's that? Because I already know, because I can see it. I can physically see it when I look at your face. Look, let me guess. You're starting to notice the absolute sharp pain behind your eye or in your eyes. And they're like, yeah. I go, is it behind your forehead? Oh my God. And they'll say, I had no idea how tight my eyes and my forehead were. It was like some will say it's like a sharp pain. I'm like, yeah, exactly. So when you spend time with a woman on an unconscious level, neurologically, you start pulling her into this really, really tight forehead and eyeball thing, and it literally causes physical pain. And because see, it's like you get so used to being what I call locked down, locked in this tiny little box, that you just put up with it. You just put up with the physical pain to the extent that you're almost numb to it. You're so used to it, you don't even notice it. How do I know this? Because I was like that too. How do I know this? Because every client I've worked with for the last 30 years has been like, holy shit, I didn't even notice that I had this pain in the back of my eyes. And you know what? Now you start to look at women and go, holy shit, they were right. I didn't even know what she was talking about. Like, oh, I got a headache. Again? Why? What's going on? Well, you were giving her the headache. Now, here's what happens with every single client and male that I talk to about this. Everyone, 100% of them, 100%. I have yet to have a male just openly admit, go, wow, you know what? I have been doing this. Here's what happens. I was working with a client, Eric, okay? Eric owned his own business, had a nice, beautiful 2-story home, blah, blah, blah. So I was teaching this section of the course to him, and I was taking him through the technique, etc. And he started, and I was like, oh my God, dude, I never noticed how much pain I have in the back of my eyes and in my forehead. Holy shit. I'm like, yeah, you need to relax. Now, obviously, in the course, I teach you how to open up. That's not a problem. That's not for this video, though. So he was like, wow. Now, he had this experience, direct experience, and here's what happened. The next morning, he called his mom back in the Midwest. So he calls his mom and tells her about this really cool learning. He goes, you know, I didn't know that men did that to women. He goes, you know, I remember watching movies hearing women say, oh, I got to go home, I've got a headache. He goes, I thought that was just women, you know, being a I'm going to say it, the B word, the bitch. But after he pays for his expensive dinner, she took it and just went home and like, screw you, right? And she's like, well, Eric, I say this to you all the time. And he goes, wait, what? What do you mean? He goes, Eric, how many times have I said to you, I got to go, you're giving me a headache? He goes, wait, are you being serious? She goes, yes. He goes, wait, all those years that you've been saying that to me, you're just saying that I gave you the headache? She's like, yes. Guys, here's the deal. Women say this stuff to you all the time. And here's the other deal. You guys are so sensitive that you don't want to hear it, so you block it out. And then when she files for a divorce or breaks up with you, you're like, what the hell's going on? I thought everything was going great. Yeah, for you, but not her at all. Number one, you were causing her massive pain. Here's the other thing. You know how you get to have sex and you get an orgasm? She doesn't get that. Now here's what I mean. Women are neurologically wired in the opposite way that men are. So after you have an orgasm, there's a chemical called oxytocin, and that relaxes your entire body. It's what makes you feel content. And you know how after sex, like you have no worries, and you're like, just like a relief? She doesn't get that through sex because she has to connect with you mentally, forehead to forehead first, and then open up emotionally, connect to through the hidden language this way, and you have to learn how to give her emotional fulfillment. And then when she has sex with you, she can have an orgasm. But here's the deal. The orgasm itself does not give her emotional fulfillment. And that is what this is all about. You give a woman emotional fulfillment, she will sing the praises to the gods. And I'm not fucking kidding. My last YouTube channel, it was made for men just like this one. Guess what the majority of subscribers were? Women, because I'm speaking about emotional fulfillment, mental stimulation, the internal language. Okay, I'm just gonna say something right now. I'm just gonna throw it out there. I'm gonna say it in the male way. Those are all fuck words. This is porno to a woman. Literally, there's a hidden language. Words, her mating system's connected to her key phrase, right brain, not the logical brain, because that's the language you speak, the right brain's communication center, which means, I'm pointing to my ears, the way a woman gets turned on sexually is through emotional fulfillment. And I'm pointing to my ear because it's done through a hidden form of keywords and language. and I'm pointing to my ear. Women get turned on here. Now I'm going to point to my eyes. Men get turned on by the eyes. And this is why men don't understand women, because you try to turn her on in the way that you're turned on, by paying for dinner, by buying flowers, by buying cars, by getting shiny chrome rims. All that shit's visual, by wearing a nice shirt, by taking a shower, by getting your hair cut to look good. That's all visual. If you know how to do this system that I'm about to teach you in my course, you'll never take a woman to a fancy restaurant ever again. You'll take her to the crappiest, rickety, rundown place, the cheapest place on the planet, and she will make love to you every fucking time. Willingly, wantingly, desiringly, she will be chasing after you. She will be pulling you into the bedroom. But most of you guys, you're paying for dinners, you're fighting, you're begging her into the room, and you're trying to convince her to go to the bedroom. This course, you don't do that. If you're begging her, if you're paying for stuff, buying stuff, taking her out to dinner, giving her roses, massages, if you're doing this stuff, it means you're a beggar, and that's the biggest turnoff to a woman. It means you don't know how to give her emotional fulfillment. Now, you're probably wondering, well, what exactly is emotional fulfillment? Well, I'm going to tell you physically what it is. You know that feeling you get after having an orgasm? That's the same feeling that she wants. And you're thinking, oh, then I better sharpen up on my sexual techniques. No. You're missing it. See, there you go, thinking like a man again. Oh, I'm going to do this male stuff to make her happy. Nope, wrong. That's going to piss her off really bad. So the number one thing a woman wants in a marriage is the whole reason why she gets into a relationship and or a marriage. She wants emotional fulfillment. Now here's what it is. I'm going to give it to you scientifically. Okay, so literally when you learn how to do this, I'm serious. See this Asian girl here? She literally crawled into my lap. I didn't ask her at all. I'm like, hey, let's take a picture together. She literally just crawled into my lap. I was like, holy shit. Well, it's because I was doing something that no one else in the club was doing. So essentially, here's what happens. After you have an orgasm, that chemical oxytocin is released into your bloodstream. It acts as a relaxant. It relaxes every muscle, every nerve, every fiber in your body. And this is the same feeling a woman wants from a relationship, but she can't get it through sex. See, a woman goes down. Look at her forehead. She wants to connect from there to your forehead through the mentally stimulating communication, which I'll teach you. Then she has to drop down to her heart. Now this arrow's going down. Once you give her emotionally fulfilling communication, you fill up her heart like a bowl being filled up. Then it pops open and she goes down to her groin. So a woman starts from the top down. A man goes from the bottom up. After you have an orgasm, it opens you up to your heart. That's what we call emotional fulfillment. So what does this oxytocin do? What is the real thing it does? Yes, it relaxes your entire body, muscles, nerves, everything. It also relaxes an artery, which is in the lower reptilian brain. Once that artery relaxes, it opens wide open and blood flows up into the larger human brain, thus opening you up to your right emotional processor, your right brain, which is what you feel in your heart and your chest and belly area. You can even breathe deep and you feel content. That's the same experience and feeling that she wants. But she can't go from the groin up to her heart. There's like a barrier, a board that goes across. She can't go up. She has to go forehead, heart, and then groin. That's the way it works for a woman. In other words, she has this experience before sex. If she doesn't have it before sex, then she'll never have it. And that's why women get pissed off, because they're like, okay, I tell you what, I'm going to give him what he wants. And eventually, he'll give it back to me. A month goes by. A year goes by. 2 years goes by. And what do you give back to her? You come home from work and you give her a fucking headache. You come from work, she's got this searing pain in the back of her eyes. And you're going, why are women so miserable? I don't understand. Well, now you do. And she continues to make love to you, and you keep begging her and paying for dinners and taking her out and cooking and cleaning and massaging her and becoming the woman of the relationship. Now everything's backward. Everything's being done wrong. This is literally everything in reverse, and now she's pissed off, and you can't figure out why. Like, but Mike, I'm working so hard to make her happy. I keep paying for stuff and cooking and cleaning. That's not what she wants from a man. I'm telling you. I am fucking telling you. He was worth $300 million. This other client was a marriage, family counselor with his doctorate degree in psychology who specialized in this stuff, and he had no idea why he'd been through 2 divorces and why his wife was so pissed. These people are the blind leading the blind, and they don't even know it because they're so stuck in their ego. They don't even... it's like, okay, all right, I got a good one. Adam flew all the way out from London after reading my book, Cracked Female Code. That book is impressive, guys. It gets people... most of my clients have flown in from out of state or out of country. He flies in, and one of the things I noticed was it was about the 3rd day he was having what we call cognitive dissonance. This is where you believe something, but then someone or something in reality is showing you that your belief is completely not true, but that this other thing is absolutely true, and you're seeing it work in reality, but your brain's like, well, wait a minute, that's not what I believe. So essentially, cognitive dissonance is when you have a mental conflict occurs when beliefs are contradicted by new information. This conflict activates areas of the brain involved in personal identity and emotional response to threats. So essentially, Adam kept saying to me over and over, but this isn't what the relationship experts are teaching, Mike. This isn't what so-and-so's book says. This isn't what the pickup artist courses. The pickup artist courses say the opposite. Now, one of the things he was proud of is how many courses that he's taken throughout the world. He's from London. He flew out from London. And he kept bragging how he spent thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of dollars on all of the greatest courses on the planet on how to pick up women, seduce women, turn women on, understand women, and on and on. So I said to him, so why are you here? He goes, what do you mean? I go, why did you come all the way across the Atlantic Ocean, all the way across the entire United States land, and come to the West Coast to see me? He goes, well, I told you I want to get married and I want to find a girl. So then I said, okay, wait a minute. So then why did you take all those other courses? He goes, Mike, they're the best courses in the world. I go, on what? He goes, well, how to seduce women, pick up women, turn women on, how to save your marriage, how to have a good relationship, blah, 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 blah. I go, so I don't understand. If they're the greatest courses in the world, then why are you here? Now, this is a very typical male experience. So on the one hand, he's telling me these are the best courses in the world. And then on the other hand, he came out here to see me to take my course. This makes no sense. Yet he couldn't see it. But here's the deal, guys. Women do this to you all the time. They'll tell you what's wrong. They'll explain to you, and then you won't hear it. Because a lot of men, when a woman finally leaves him, whether it's a divorce or breakup in a relationship, he's like, I don't understand. I thought everything was going great. And I'm like, yeah, for you it was going great because you were getting what you wanted out of the relationship, where not only was she not getting what she wanted out of the relationship, you were giving her a fucking headache. And you were stressing her out. Not to mention completely and totally turning her off by disconnecting her from her mating system and thus forcing her into her logical left brain. So I had to almost scream at Adam and say, what was your purpose for taking those courses? He goes, I told you, blah, 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 blah. And I go, so why are you here? And he just looked at me like, why are you yelling at me? I'm like, Adam, are you even listening to what you're saying? I purposely had him say it out of his own mouth over and over and over and over. So he couldn't 5 minutes later deny that he said that. And he goes, what are you talking about? I go, Adam, you keep telling me you've taken the greatest courses on the planet. You spent tens of thousands of dollars. I go, if those courses are so fucking great, why in the fuck are you here? And I screamed this at him, and he looked at me and went, huh. And here's the deal. He was seeing it, but he was in denial. He didn't want to just go, holy shit, those courses were a waste of fucking time. Because here's what I said. I go, if those courses were so fucking great, why in the fuck are you here? If those courses were so great, you wouldn't fly all the way across, halfway across the world and spend time out here taking another damn course. You'd be out there picking up on women and seducing and turning women on. Now here's the fucked up part. Oh, you thought that was the fucked up part? No. So we would go out to lunch and then come back and do another 4 hours of training and then go to dinner and then we'd go to a club and women were all over me. I mean, he was just like, dude, everywhere we fucking go. He goes, this is insane. I go, yeah. He goes, they literally walk up to you from across the room. I go, yeah, it's because I'm doing this internal awareness stuff. He's like, but it doesn't make any sense. He goes, this isn't what Mystery teaches. This isn't what Vin DiCarlo teaches. This isn't what I can't remember that British guy. This isn't what so-and-so teaches. I'm like, and then I literally yelled at him, how well does that work for you? And I had to be so obnoxious for him to go, wait, what? Because what I'm doing is I'm popping him out of his pattern. I have come to learn to call it the male oblivious pattern. See, here's the deal. Men are stuck in their left brain. The left brain is literally inside a box. That is the matrix. My job is to get you the fuck out of there. There's a huge concerted effort to put you in the matrix, to keep you in that locked box. You ever heard of the phrase, think outside of the box? That means get outside of your logical brain. The logical brain is in the box. Mathematical, computation, scientific, rule, structure, organization. It's literally a framework. It's a structure, and you don't know how to escape. That's what I do in my course. I teach you how to escape that and open up to the right brain. Why? Because the right brain is the real brain. It's literally, listen closely, the 5 senses: see, hear, feel, smell, and taste. The left brain is where you read a book, you read words. That's what the book says, that's what the book says. The right brain is the physical, experiential brain where you get out there and physically do it. That is how you learn, and that is how you absolutely know. That's why some people say, I have a knowing, because they physically did it. So the reason why Adam was saying one thing and yet not admitting, well, the reason why I'm out here in California from London is because clearly that shit's not working. Because if it was working, he'd be seducing the crap out of women. And yet, here's what he was telling me. I go, it's like, he's like, in the beginning, I pay for dinners, and I pay for vacations, I pay for this, I pay for that, and you end up arguing and fighting, and she walks away, just like in this movie, The Notebook. Now here's the fucked up part. So we would go to a restaurant, and he was in his $3,000 business suit, and he'd walk up with his perfect haircut and looking, hey, look at me, and he would literally, his voice would, hi, my name's Adam, blah, blah, table for two. All 4 girls turned around and walked away instantly. And he looked at me like, what the fuck, dude? I'm thinking, well, I don't know what it's like out in London, but in California, you don't talk to people like that. So literally, one of the girls leaned over to the right and points at me, because I was about 4 or 5 steps behind him. Because I was like, I didn't want to be a part of his energy, because I was like, I don't want to be connected to that bullshit. And she goes, sir, can I help you? I'm like, yeah, table for 2. She goes, your name? I go, Mike. And all the girls started to giggle. And he looked at me like, what the fuck, man? Because I was wearing just a pair of shorts, flip-flops, and a fucking t-shirt. So then we went and sat down. And what ended up happening, this was a big restaurant, by the way, and a waitress from the far side had saw us. Now, here's the deal. He noticed how she kind of locked on to me like the hostesses did. And he kind of like, he was getting pissed, okay? Now, this is the whole cognitive dissonance thing. And we were sat down by the hostess, and she said, a waitress will be with you in a minute. And about 2 minutes later, this waitress from the far side came all the way over, and she looks at me, and she goes, can I help you, sir? Now, it's like Adam wasn't even there. And I'm like, yeah, we get some water? You know, we didn't even get the menu yet. She goes, oh, I'll get that for you. She got us some water, the menus. So I asked her, I'm like, are you our waitress? Because I saw her on trust me, this was a big restaurant. This was huge. And I go, are you a waitress? She goes, no, I'm not. I'm like, why did you come over here? And she goes, well, I just want to see if I could help. I was like, okay, well, thank you. And she walked away kind of dejected. And Adam goes, you're not kidding, are you? I'm like, what? What are you talking about? He goes, women literally walk up to you. I'm like, oh. I go, you started to notice, huh? He goes, I don't understand though, but you're not doing anything. I go, Adam, I am doing something, but you can't see it and you can't hear it. Now, we were pretty much not quite at the half part of the course. Now I was beginning to teach him these techniques and how to open up and how to open up to the right brain, etc. So I said, Adam, the problem is I can tell by looking at your eyes and your pupils, you're in your left brain right now. You have to do the techniques. Everywhere we go, you have to open up. And I said, the reason why you can't see what I'm doing is because you are literally in the male brain. The minute we walked in the fucking front doors, you shifted from this open space, because that's why I took him out, because okay, he's finally there, and I'm thinking this would be a good time to take him out in public so he can experience how it shifts everything. But the minute he opened the door, boom, he went back into male. He marched up, Mr. Macho, egotistical man, Mr. Logical man, and even his voice went from this very open, relaxed tone and voice and right brain voice to this logical, linear, external voice, which turned everyone off. So we go to a club, same thing. Bouncer looks at me and goes, hey, excuse me, sir. I'm like, he goes, would you like to go in? Like, because there was a long line. He's like, yeah, sure. And I go, I'm with this guy right here. He goes, he kind of looked at him and almost put the brakes on because Adam was in Mr. Linear mode. And he goes, yeah, come on in, sir. Don't worry about it. Come on, head of the line. I was like, cool, awesome. So once again, women approached me, talked to me, would reach out, touch me, grab my hand, buy me drinks, which is a very typical experience I have with women. I'm serious. And Adam is just fucking, he's pissed. He's just like, because Adam's looking at me like, well, I'm more successful. I make more money than you. I'm better looking. I've got a better suit on than you. I'm dressed nice. I'm clean cut. I've got a $150 haircut. You know, all the bullshit that men think is what women want. So again, the next day we did the first half of the course, and then we went out to lunch, and on the way back, Adam was pissed, and I mean verbally, just like saying stuff to me, and then he started to yell at me, and I'm just looking at him and go, what are you mad about? And he literally burst out in tears, and I mean just bawling, and I mean crying. And what ended up happening was, I said, you know, we're going to take the rest of the day off. I took him back to the hotel. I go, why don't you just get some sleep? You probably need some sleep. Why don't you just eat some good, healthy food and just relax and don't do anything. Don't go on the computer. Just sleep and relax. I go, watch a movie or, you know, something like that. Just don't get on the computer. Don't get into your thinking brain. Just relax. So the next day we came together, and he was completely transformed. He got out of that competitive ego, male, logical, focused, serious, and he was just open. He was just relaxed and open, and he goes, I wasted my money on all those courses. I'm nodding like, yep. He goes, but why did I believe it so much to where I was literally like advertising it to people? And I said, because you're logical. Okay, here's why. These courses are left brain courses. So they make sense to you. But just because something makes sense doesn't mean it works in reality. That's the difference. And women have been saying this to you for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Women look at men like there's something wrong with you. And technically what it is, you won't open up to your right brain. And nobody's teaching you how. This is the number one most important core piece to my course, is teaching you how to open up to the right brain, which will then make you emotionally grounded, which then attracts women to you. And this is what Adam couldn't see. And yet, he did see it. He even acknowledged it. He would yell at me because I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. Because logic doesn't make any sense when it comes to the female mating system. Period. End of sentence. Right now, I have a feeling a few of you, your brains are beginning to fry. Because the male brain truly trusts the male brain, even though the male brain is completely disconnected from reality. The male brain's job is to literally delete, distort, and generalize 99.999% of all the information. The male brain's designed to look under a microscope. What do? You use pure water, and I think the water's purity has to be, if I remember right from science class, 99.96 or 99.6% pure, because you can't have other impurities mixed in with the bacteria or the molecules or atoms or whatever you're going to be working with, okay? It has to be a pure environment. In reality, there's bacteria, there's temperature changes, there's moisture changes, there's all kinds of changes. You've got bugs, you've got insects, you've got wind, you've got all these different factors in reality. The left brain's job is to figure things out by dividing and separating things. And this is the brain you use when it comes to relationships, and you can't figure out why she feels so separated from you. So essentially, the reason why Adam and other males' brains will look at these courses and think they're real and they work, etc., even though they don't. Adam couldn't pick up on a girl for the life of him until he finally surrendered and was willing to go, okay, I'm ready to learn. At this point, he started to take on the teachings. He started to take on the learning. It was kind of a little late in the course, so he ended up flying back out another time to go over it, because he had wasted a lot of time arguing and disagreeing and saying, this isn't the way mystery does it. I don't give a shit. So one of the times he said that, I said, well, does it work for you? He goes, what do you mean? I go, well, let's go out. Let's go to a coffee shop right now. Let's go to this bookstore with the coffee shop in it. Show me. He goes, what? I go, show me. He goes, oh, well, yeah, exactly. The question is, does it work for you? And that's my mastery. Teaching this in a way that your unconscious mind and your emotional system absorb it. So you can begin to automatically, unconsciously begin to do these things. So the guy that was worth $300 million walked away going, holy shit, all that stuff that they taught us, like, all those other courses, they mean well. They're trying to help you. But they don't know how to help you because they don't know what the missing pieces are, because they don't even know the missing pieces exist. They have no idea that there are any missing pieces. Like, they're completely blind and oblivious to something that they don't even know about. I'm going to end it with this, guys. There is a form of romantic seduction. It's not manipulative. It's not negative. It's not taking advantage of. It's literally just giving her what she wanted in the first place. It's the most natural form of romance and love that a woman desires from you. Okay? Remember, you got to be the champion. Wow! Guys, this course will be the funnest course. It'll be the best thing you've ever done in your life. It will be the best course you've ever taken. It will change your life and bring happiness, social power, relationship power, and sexual power into your life. Hey, this is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. If you've listened to this long, congratulations. I think your brain is beginning to finally wrap itself around what's going on. All right, guys. See you guys in the next video. Remember, click subscribe, click that like button, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.